In conversation with Leah Bathsheba. Leah Bathsheba has 20 years of experience in early childhood education, teaching and caring for children ages 3 months to 5 years old. Leah has a passion for helping children understand that they have the power within themselves to make a difference in the world. In her free time, Leah enjoys expressing herself through painting, drawing, and spending time with nature. Eping Hands on Halloween is a Fox children's book. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure and joy to have on the show today, Leah Bathsheba. How are you doing, Leah?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine too. It's lovely to have you on the show today. I'm quite excited, really.
Yes, I am as well. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Leah, could you tell us about your book, Epping Hands on Halloween? And I want to say that's such an amazing, intriguing, and compelling title actually for a book. And I love to ask you, how does this book come about? What inspired such book of kindness and compassion for children?
Absolutely. So here, I'll show it right here.
That's a
This
beautiful
is the
cover.
front. Thank you. Really, so working in childcare for 20 plus years,
Mm,
I've spent much time, working with young children. And in a world that we live in today, I absolutely find that kindness and compassion we can just bring it, call it in and
yeah,
show it, to others. I feel like
absolutely.
when we embody, the kindness and compassion, and amplify it out, it makes such a difference. And
Yeah.
working with young children, I find that they gravitate toward whatever, they are, genuinely just exploring and bringing into their lives.
Mm.
So, yeah, the way this book came about was several years ago. I was working in a classroom with 2-year-olds,
Oh,
and I myself have, always been very imaginative. I love drawing and writing and everything. So this one little girl one day, it was during the holiday of Halloween,
mm.
she comes in and she was crying, and her dad said she is okay, but she is feeling sad today. So I had
Oh,
gotten down on her level, and I had said, "Well, what happened? What's going on?" And she was crying. She said, "There's witches outside in the woods that don't have raincoats or umbrellas, and they're so sad." And so in that moment, I went with it. I went with how she was feeling, and we had talked all about it,
mm.
and it had turned out into a conversation with not just this little girl. Like, it went throughout the whole day, where it turned
Wow.
into this theme and curriculum about the kindness and compassion we can show to others.
Mm.
So so the first part of the book, with the characters in the story about witches, they're crying in the woods and they need raincoats. I had written it down. It came through as this little poem, and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know what it's going to be for, but it seems really, really, really special. So I think
Oh,
that little girl now, she's probably about 10 years old, but I always think about, I am so grateful and so thankful to be able to, come across just that inspiration, you know what I mean,
wow.
of working with children, and the love that they have, the empathy and the compassion that they hold for just such situations, in general,
Mm. Wow.
So yeah,
That's such an amazing way to start a book, really. It's
it is.
amazing and fun to getting to know the introductory part of your book and how it all came to be. Sounds quite
Mhm.
lovely to me. And thank you for the small short illustration too. That was quite
Oh,
fun.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely enjoy, enjoy
Absolutely.
explaining the story. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask you, why do you choose to write in the genre of children's literature? What piqued your interest in this category? And again, when did you first decide that you wanted to be an author as well as an illustrator? Would you love to talk about that?
Absolutely. So, writing this genre in general, the
Yeah.
way the way it came about for being a Halloween book, it just felt, it was the theme, in order to honor that conversation that sparked the story itself.
Yeah.
Um, and then also along with that, just, I mean, yeah, the passion of sharing, hopes and dreams,
Mm.
that we have to make this world a better place.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I believe
Mm.
it, we manifest it, we amplify it out. And I believe, dreams like that are possible,
Absolutely.
uh, sharing that with the world. And um, when I wanted to, the first time I really truly felt like I wanted to write a book, I was probably about 8 years old.
Oh.
Um, yes, yeah, 8 years old. One of my favorite authors was Stephen Kellogg. He has a whole series of books that he would write and illustrate that were just beautiful. I think he was the illustrator as well. If I'm incorrect on that, I apologize, but I just would dive into these stories, and they would bring me into this place of this
Mm.
imagination, and I was always so captivated by it.
Oh.
And the lyrical just way of the writing with the poetry always touched my heart.
Oh.
So, that's really where it started. And my grandmother, she had written a book herself. She had written
Wow.
just a few different things here and there, and she was really into writing poetry. Um,
Interesting.
so yeah, I just the other day I was actually looking at her book. I had pulled it out of the shelf and reflected on that, and I just, she's passed on, but I feel like I'm
Mm.
I'm living through that, passing that along, because it's just
Mm.
such a dream, you know what I mean, to be able to write and, share illustrations as well. Like it's just
That's
such a
true.
pleasure. It's
That's
beautiful.
true. That's
Yeah,
amazing, really. And it's quite fun to get to know about your grandmother's story, being a poet too. Thank you for adding that.
you're welcome.
Yeah. And I'd like to ask you, Leah, for readers who haven't read Epping Ends and Halloween yet, and without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what I'd expect in terms of teams picking up the book? And I know we already mentioned Halloween, so yeah, perhaps you want to
Right.
mention something else.
Yeah. So the book itself with the illustrations, the way I
Yeah,
did it, when I had intentionally, when I wrote the story itself, it's all
yeah.
poetry, it rhymes. It's very, the literacy and everything, is very catching. It catches the attention
Hmm.
of young children and adults. They have said how just brilliantly amazing that they enjoy it. They enjoy it in
Hmm.
general. You know? So there's that. What it does is each part of the story, each character
Yeah.
in the story is a child who interacts with, whether it's like a monster or a ghost or a ghoul, anything Halloween like. There's the interaction, and it's each turn of the page is actually another short story.
Wow.
So the attention, especially with 2-year-olds, they're able to just have a new story,
Hmm.
and it just gives that, like it just keeps on leading into a new one.
Hmm.
And then along with the illustrations as well is just the intention of like the cover itself. I'll add like I had just wanted to capture with, the love that we put in, like a wishing well and the ripple effect that it
Hmm.
brings,
Yeah.
to life. As well as I will share an illustration inside the very first illustration, I felt was very, very necessary. Was it's a picture here of,
Interesting.
the heart amplifying out that love, you
Oh.
know, and how, just the capabilities that we have, and, giving, children the opportunity and adults to see that we really are capable of just making such a difference, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
Hmm.
so that's the gist of it, like carrying that and just letting, everyone know, that they're able to do that.
I love the fact that you mentioned that we are capable of making a difference. That's such an amazing, thing to know and to add to it. So thank you so much for including
You're
this,
welcome.
at least bordering on the fact of it too. And I'd love to ask you again, Leah, apart from helping Ends and Halloween, do you have any other works you've authored or maybe currently working on?
So I have a variety of stories that I'm working on,
Yeah.
I'm pacing myself for one thing at a time because the ideas that come in, they come in real quick and just trying to keep and pace myself. But my next children's book that I am working on
Wow.
is it involves just showing us that there's not one way to do something, that there's many, many ways to do something. Like, it's like baking a cake, or say prayer or meditation, it's going to look different for everyone. And
Absolutely.
just the whole gist of it, like I said, is all that there's not just one way. Because, and
Mm.
that's the thing about humanity in general, it's so beautiful that we all have something so much to give, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that are just different things. So that's the initial that I'm working on. And then other things that I'm working on the side that I'm very passionate about with poetry. I enjoy writing. I write affirmation prayers and
Hmm.
poetry.
Interesting.
Um, yes, yeah, and so those are going into a collection to be written as a book as well,
Oh,
to be published. Just because it's just another part of what I'm so passionate about in general is setting that
wow.
intention to make the world a great place.
Yeah,
So
I love the sound of this book, and I love your illustration too. So thank you so much for sharing. This is quite
you're
fun.
welcome.
Sounds like you have quite a lot of amazing works ongoing already.
Yeah.
Well done with them. And now, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Are there any challenges you've encountered in the process of writing this book, and also ever since it got published?
Yes. So, process of how this happened was with publishing. I had gone with a hybrid publishing company, which
Publishers.
I am grateful for.
Yeah.
It's, such a great team of people who that I was able to communicate with, and
Mm.
the process of it, the manager that had helped me with it, they explained everything. They were very explanatory. That's the word. Is that the word?
Yeah,
And
that's it.
yeah, and that they did such a great walkthrough, and they were
Oh,
patient. They were patient with, since I was a new author. They gave me time, and um it what ended up happening was, so I had published my book last year. I
oh,
had gone through a year prior, which is actually funny because the year prior in 2022, I had gotten a proposal today, 2 years ago, to
mm,
publish my book. So it was such a celebration, but I ended up not going with that company. I had put it off.
oh,
Life happened. The book was ready to go to be published, but life happens. And then last year, it was about, a year ago, right around now, I realized it's time to get this book out. It's time.
yeah.
And things had fallen through with the first publishing company. And all in all, just trusting, my intuition on what really made sense, really, really, really just aligning to what worked for me to get this book out
Mm,
was finding another publishing company that just worked out perfectly. So
wow.
there were challenges with it, but it felt more like it was that just being able to believe that it could happen. Because of course, with this
Mm,
book itself is believing that you're capable of
yeah,
making a difference in the world. So even
absolutely.
myself, it was the lesson that I was like, oh yes, just it's all gonna work out. And it did. I had gone with the
Yeah,
company that really made sense. So yeah.
I love your hope and faith to it. Sounds quite
Thank you.
contagious and quite, inspirational as well.
Well, I'm glad that I can share that.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. At least
You're
it also
welcome.
sparks some hope to the listeners as well. And to me also as a host. Yeah, we all need inspiration.
Absolutely. You
Yeah,
just use it every day. There's never too much of it, ever.
absolutely. Never too much of it. Yeah, thank you, Leah.
You're
And
welcome.
now, is there anything that you would love to share with the viewers about your book that we did not mention in this interview and you'd love the viewers to know?
Absolutely. So I had of course shown the front cover and I showed one of the pictures and I can give a glance of one of the things that I love so much that I am very, very thankful for
Yeah.
is all of the illustrations are completely done by
Oh,
pencil, pen, and crayon, all crayon. Yeah.
really?
Yes, all crayon.
Interesting.
And the publishing company I went with, they matched everything so beautifully. I fell in love with it right away. But yes, it's all
Did
crayon.
you do the illustration yourself?
I yes, yes, sir, I did.
Wow, this
Yep.
is beautiful.
Thank you. So that's one thing about this is
Wow.
just having the dream. Here's one more. I'll show one more. I won't
Please
show
bring
all of
it
them.
closer to the camera. Sorry.
Absolutely. Here you go.
Wow, that's beautiful, really. Ah, you
Thank
did all of
you.
this, really?
I did.
Amazing. We
Thank
have
you.
an illustrator here, viewers, if you'd like to hire one.
Right. I know. It's funny. Um, that's another thing. A side note, when believing in yourself, I remember one time someone was looking for an illustrator and I had made an illustration and they didn't go with me. And I thought, oh, at first, yeah, I kind of thought, oh, they didn't go with me. I was like, wait a minute, I can make a book and I can illustrate it because that's the whole thing about this in general as well.
Yeah,
It's
it's beautiful.
say we show the children, children and adults alike, that we are capable of our hopes and dreams, that this
Hmm.
almost has a story of it. And then the embodiment of it is putting in the dream of really making it happen. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like that, if there's something that's truly on someone's heart, that they are capable of it for
Hmm.
sure, you know, to really make that happen. And so that was one thing, was that this was all yeah,
Wow.
completely written and illustrated fully,
Wow.
by myself with inspiration from, that little girl I am so grateful for,
Wow.
coming across, that's the beautiful thing about connecting with others, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. This is
Yeah.
amazing, really. This is so amazing. I love the sound of this. It's quite lovely to know. And even your work as an illustrator sounds quite beautiful to me. Thank you for sharing.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'd love to ask you, Leah, as a published author, what sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with publishing a book? What would you advise people in this category?
So pretty much to go with what I had said just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Trust, really trusting intuition. I know at times, someone might come up with writer's block or they put something on hold, life happens, and you might end up feeling like you're losing that spark when
Hmm.
it comes to, the writing process and the publishing and, what do we do next? What do I do? What do I do? And really, I find taking the time to step back and ask the questions, whether you pray, whether you meditate, whether
Hmm.
you find experts that can truly help. I know
Hmm.
sometimes the process of thinking and going to an
This is
expert and then
beautiful. Yeah.
they might do something, we learn lessons, you know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
find definitely, trusting full on your intuition of what really makes sense for you. Some people, of course, go with fully publishing on their own.
Hmm.
Some dive into having a whole company do it for them.
Yeah.
And then it's the hybrid, the in between. Uh,
Hmm.
so really that's in itself. Like I will just say, of course, whenever it is in life, everything happens in the time that it's supposed to happen. I
Absolutely.
feel even if it might not feel like it, like, oh, I put something on hold. Oh no, it's everything always completely happens exactly as it should anyway. So,
Yeah.
that's how I truly honestly feel. So giving ourselves grace, you know,
Wow.
patience and
Your
all
work,
everything completely, work.
yeah, your words are so inspiring and so, quite motivating. And I so much hope the viewers, including myself, would love to utilize it. Thank you so much for your advice.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now, in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview and they would like to get a copy of your book, on what platform is it available on for purchase?
So the number one platform that it is on is
Yeah.
Amazon. Amazon, you can get it anytime. It's always available on Amazon. Um, or it can be, you can purchase it on barnesandnoble.com.
Mm,
Those are the two main ones that you can get it. You can get it hardcover. I do have paperback here right now, but I'm not going to get off camera. But yes, this is the hardcover.
oh,
And then you can get it Kindle too. You can get it, a Kindle as well. So those are the easy, accessible platforms.
platforms.
Anyone can get it from around the world
Yeah.
fully. There have been times, of course, when Halloween rolls around, it's for where I live locally, putting it into a bookstore. And
Yeah.
that's a little bit
Interesting.
of a challenge, of course. And, challenge always accepted, when things will end up working out. It is a book titled
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
yeah, looking for local places that will take it all year round. But of course, you know how things go, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. But those are,
Yeah.
like I said, Amazon and barnesandnoble.com
That's
online.
great. And I
Yeah.
left a link in the discussion part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Lee Bathsheba's books directly on Amazon and also on Barnes& and Nobles and other platforms as well. I also left a link to a social media following for possible followers. So thank you so much, Leah, for
You're
accepting the
welcome.
invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome having this conversation with you.
Yes, absolutely. I enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well. This was quite fun doing.